To care about fission or any uranium company, you've actually got to believe that we need more energy. And the math is pretty simple. We produce about 135 million pounds of uranium a year, but we need 190. Where do we get it? So we know there's a gap, it's filled in, but if you believe we need a lot more energy over time, then there's more argument for clean energy, especially for countries like China. And the reality is that, I don't know how many of you guys have been to China. There's A cities, we call them B cities. They got cities with 5 million people that aren't big enough to get an airport. 5 million people. And so they desperately need energy, but they want clean energy. That's where, companies like Fission fit in. So to believe that there's a hope for nuclear power, you got to believe we need energy. And so the overriding theme to walk away from is, A, we need energy, clean energy, especially China, and where's it going to come from? Well, we literally need, by 2050, almost 3 times as much energy. And so the reactors are being actually built all over the world. There's actually more reactors working today than time of Fukushima. May shock people. There's more being built than ever, because countries that don't count on political will, they don't put their finger up and see which way it's going. Those countries are going full on with nuclear power. Saudi Arabia, Middle East, and especially China. So you can see we got 450 reactors going, but another 335 proposed. So you just simply need more power, and nuclear power is certainly a part of that because China is driving it. We always people talk about, needing cobalt and all these for electric cars, but you just can't plug it into the air. You need power. And then Bitcoin, they're saying now we've got using much energy for mining Bitcoin as we do for the entire country of Switzerland. So where is all this energy going to come from? Has to come from somewhere, and that's where I think, certain countries still look at the United States as a model. 20% of energy should come from nuclear power, and that's what we have. The other one may change the game of these small modular reactors, which are being designed, and I know they're quite along in their prototype in China. We were over there a few times. We're owned 20% by the Chinese government, SOE, so we saw some of their models. These small ones are great. If they get them working, then offshore, rigs and et cetera will have their own little modular, This shows you that I've been in the business too long, but I remember in the 70s, I was still in high school, they talked about a drop of uranium running a car. That's how crazy it got. So there is lots of room for smaller versions. Lots of reactors being built. Now, who's been to China lately? Well, go. You can smoke a cigar and clear your lungs at the same time, because it is absolutely awful. Like if it's, even if you're wealthy, your car can only be driven every second day, depending on your license plate. And yet, they still have this. It's mind-boggling. It's like it's a scene from Gotham, where you just can't believe it, that's dirty, but that's literally what Beijing is. So they just not want power, they want clean power. Japan, as you know, the home of Fukushima, the last disaster. They've got 8 going and 17 more. They want to get back up to 30, and I believe they're an important part, not because of the numbers, but because they buy uranium 5-10 years in advance, whereas most other countries are like every 2-3 years. Another crazy part is most uranium comes from really wild places, which any kind of political issues, you'd be out of certain fuel. Kazakhstan, Africa, Russia. I mean, it's mind-boggling how much actually comes from, only what 25% comes from, I would call, still countries. We certainly have a lot of production. What's the best thing for low uranium prices? Cut supply. That's exactly what's happened in our industry. We, the biggest very high-grade mine in Canada, MacArthur, was shut down last year and that took out about 19 million pounds. That's literally the overhang we had in the market. That's why uranium prices have shot up. Other than vanadium, there's no other commodity that's performed as well in the last 6-8 months. Usually utilities are thinking ahead and trying to tie up uranium for many years to come. For some reason, since the Japanese came out of the equation, they seem not to care if they have uranium 5-10 years out, which is very big change. So what that shows you is how little they've got these nuclear plants being built, but they haven't got any plans to tie up uranium. If you guys did this for a living, you wouldn't be able to afford a suit. This is the spot price here. These are contracts. So you could see when the spot price went really high, they decided to buy more. Rather than tying up uranium when the prices are low, utilities traditionally wait till the prices are really high. Then they go buy. Figure that out. But anyways, you remember uranium is a very small part of running a reactor. It's like 4 or 5%. So whether they pay $30 or $60 to them, it's not a big deal. But it's a big deal to us because you suddenly become economic at 60, maybe not at 30. There's your chart that tells the whole story. You can finally saw a breakout. And that's why I think when uranium hits $30 soon, people start to pay attention. But the real number was when it broke 27. That was a 52-week high, and finally we've broken out. And it's all because Cameco decided to shut down a major part of their production. So imagine buying one stock a few years ago, and you look at your portfolio today, and there's 4 stocks. Wouldn't that be lovely every time you bought a stock? Well, that's exactly, if you owned our company, Strathmore, you would have 4 different uranium stocks in your account. What we've been really good at is identifying projects nobody liked or different areas, spend our own money to find it, but then we bring in Asian money and then we sell it to somebody. That's why if you look in your account today, you bought Strathmore, you would literally have 4 different uranium stocks in your portfolio. I started this in my basement. In 1996, uranium was $7. When prices got moving, we brought in Sumitomo. We split the company in 2. One, we sold off the group to Energy Fuels. We kept the Canadian portion, started Fission Energy, brought a Korean group in for a bunch of money, made a big discovery. We sold that to Denison. Then we took the basin is east-west. We sold off all in the east and we took the west, started another company, a spin-out called Fission Uranium. We bought the other half, spun out some more. So if you look at it, not many groups have been able to find something, bring in, whether it's Korean, Japanese, Chinese partners. We've been able to do that. It's because we've had really good technical help along the way. There's not an award we haven't won for this project. Why? Traditionally in uranium, you've always had Africa, which had very close to surface deposits. But they're in tough areas politically, and the grade is 0.1%. In Canada, we had super high grade, 2%, very safe place. But they were deep, the deposits. They're 500 meters down, and et cetera, or even more. We in Fission, so only deposit in the world for uranium that is high grade, 2%, big, almost 150 million pounds, and close to surface. There's no other project like it. Rick Rule, which I consider a pretty smart investor, he says that it's a one-off. It may not happen again for another 40 years. That's why it's won every award possible. That's what sets this project apart from so many uranium projects. We're close to surface, large, high grade in Canada. I've only got 10 seconds left, so if you want to know more, please come by. It's kind of hard to describe your company in 10, but we have as Rick Rule says, we have a track record of over the 22 years finding something, spin it, bring money in, because we are contrarians, and secondly, We've always used the adage, it's our brains, our projects, other people's money, whether it's Chinese, Korean, or Japanese. Thank you.